Hello everyone and welcome back to Activism Uncensored. In this episode we're going to be taking a look back at the Not My Bill demo from May of this year, which took place at Parliament Square in London. There were over 20 organisations at the demonstration, which is in defiance of the Public Order Bill, something that we've spoken about a few times before on the podcast, and it really is important that we stand up to this legislation because it really is going to have a severe impact on people's right to protest, whatever that protest may be about. So we're going to take a look at the event itself. We're going to be speaking to a few people who were at the event, who I managed to bump into and have a bit of a chat with. So let's take a look at what happened.
This is what we've been needing for a long time. Unity, being united, sharing the space, supporting each other, coming together to push back against this corrupt Tory government and their draconian public order bill. We unite to defy and we unite to survive. We are all here to declare the public order bill is an infringement on our human rights. This is not our bill. We unite to defy, we unite to survive. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day.
Morning everyone, we've got Anna Holland here. Anna, why are Just Stop Oil here today to say this is not my bill?
Well, Just Stop Oil are here today because we are a non-violent, disruptive movement of people. And the only way effective change has ever been made in history is through disruptive protest. And now, because we are such a force for good and we are so powerful together, our government is so scared of us, they are implementing authoritarian new bills to try and strip our democratic right to protest and to celebrate in a way like this. And it's so terrifying and so infuriating that we have to all be here today to show the government that not in my name are they going to strip away a right we won and a right we have to keep fighting for every single day.
Anna, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Like everybody else, we are protesting against this draconian authoritarian piece of legislation that will impinge on our democratic right to protest, against the vicious racist legislation and our rights to protest against that vicious legislation, in particular the Illegal Immigration Act that this racist government is trying to push through, the dehumanizing of refugees, and also the Nationalities and Borders Bill. All of this is part of the package, including the Anti-Trade Union Bill, of a government that is in crisis and is getting more and more authoritarian.
Absolutely. And we're here with Just Stop Oil today. There's a very direct link between the climate crisis and the refugee crisis. Is that something that you're hoping to highlight here as well today?
Absolutely, absolutely. We highlighted constantly the fact that actually, this is not going to stop, given the crisis around the world, given the wars, and given the British government's role in those wars, and the impact of the climate crisis with floods, with droughts, with food poverty, that we are going to see more refugees, and we should actually have a policy that is welcoming rather than actually wants to allow people to drown in the sea.
Do you feel that there's a sense of sort of barefaced cheek, as it were, that the Conservative Party always go on about refugees when their policies are responsible for creating refugee crises?
Absolutely, the government is in crisis and they have nothing to offer except racism. That is what they're using to divide us. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to actually distract us so people are focusing on refugees. It's not people in small boats that we should be worried about. It is people in their yachts and the billionaires that we should actually be focusing on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
Do it diplomatically. If the rest of the world and the travelling community can get behind us and give us the support and the backing, and all of the charitable organisations can give us the funding that we need to take it to the next step, because without that we are going no further. This is a very historic moment for every traveller globally, not just here in England, not just in Ireland, but for all travellers around the world. We speak, I agree to you boys, for all of us. So obviously the louder the cry, the more help we should receive. Nothing like this has ever been done in history for a traveller. To see a traveller man standing in front of Big Ben, are you joking me? We'd be arrested yesterday. It's only that this is organised now. If we come down here last night and we were drunk, we'd all be in the police station in the morning. So that's how it is for us. But look, we're here, it's been organised, it's well orchestrated, and everybody that has come here, this is obviously not going to be our first time on the mic, we're here till 3, and obviously the day will go on, but I hope you have a wonderful time. On behalf of all of our people, thanks very much, and thanks to everybody that's watching us. We love you all, get behind it.
And so 1 week after that, when a committee in Parliament held a review into those unlawful arrests, we wanted to go and have our voices heard. And so we wrote to that committee as Just Stop Oil to give our evidence about what happened. And they said, thank you very much, but we are not accepting any evidence. And we said, well, that's a bit weird. I mean, you arrested 19 of us, held us unlawfully for between 8 and 24 hours, but you don't actually want to listen to us to give our side of the story when you're questioning the police on what they did that day. So we went to that committee meeting and I tried to give a very short 2-minute speech. 10 words into that speech, I made it 10 words into that speech before those very MPs who said that they were there to stand up for free speech and democracy booed me, shouted over me, and demanded that the police take us away and arrest us. Does that sound like a government or a parliament who actually want to stand up for free speech? No. So I'll read out what it was that I was planning on saying that day. We as supporters of Just Stop Oil are here today because our democracy is under threat. We are here to watch the Select Committee hearing as it's reviewing the policing of protest at the coronation. Among the 52 unlawful arrests in total that day for alleged public order offences, there were 19 Just Stop Oil supporters and an independent journalist. We had not even begun our protests, and our intentions were to simply display our t-shirts and our flags saying Just Stop Oil. We're here today to see how the committee will hold the Metropolitan Police to account for their actions, which breached our fundamental human right to free speech and freedom to assemble. Without free speech and freedom to assembly, our democracy is under threat. Our democracy is under threat by the Public Order Act of 2023 and the Police Crime Sentencing and Court Act 2022, which have criminalised peaceful protest. These acts have been used by the police on Coronation Day to indiscriminately arrest us, preventing us from being able to protest at all. Our democracy is under threat from new oil and gas. David Attenborough has warned the UN Security Council that the climate crisis threatens the very nature of human civilization. Because when billions of people are forced to move, to flee floods, fires, famine, and the resulting conflict that will inevitably threaten our ability to govern peacefully and democratically, there will be no democracy. We are here because, like all others, our voices deserve to be heard, and so we wish that you would be kind enough to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, easy does it, easy does it. Thank you very much. That was an amazing speech, Kash, and I can't believe, well, I can believe that happened to you in Parliament.
15 hours in a cell, along with me and my colleagues. And obviously the bill is an outrage. The bill has removed our right to protest. We now only have the freedom to protest contingent on that permission. And that is a disgrace. Talking of a disgrace, whilst I am proud to be here, and I'm sure you are as well, there are many people in this square today who should be hanging their heads in shame, and they are the people in uniform, the police officers of the Metropolitan Police. Every officer involved in unlawfully arresting peaceful protesters should hang their heads in shame. And I know that there are many officers in the Metropolitan Police who try to do a decent job, but unfortunately they are increasingly in a minority. And in my view, it is time the Metropolitan was abolished and that we had community policing across London and not a police force that is under the control and influence of the Home Office and the government. Now, of course, on that day, what I didn't get to do was to protest on Trafalgar Square. Instead, I got to read some pretty poor literature in a police cell, and I'm going to set up a charity to send good books to police stations. But what I was going to do is stand there with a microphone and say why we should get rid of the monarchy. So I'm just going to very briefly say that the monarchy is a corrupt and undemocratic institution. It is a central part of our constitution that puts too much power in the hands of the few at the price of freedom, as we have seen with this bill. And on that day we were arrested in the name of the King to protect his £250 million celebration so that he could troop along the road in his ridiculous carriage and have a hat put on him and an oil anointing so that he can then stand there and say, look at me, I'm king. But the one thing he didn't say is a word of opposition to the very serious issue of freedom of protesters being attacked. He has not said one word in defence of the freedom to protest. He has not said one word in defence of those who are unlawfully arrested. What is the point in a monarchy? What is the point of a head of state if they will not defend our liberties and our constitution? The monarch is a pointless puppet figurehead. It is time we abolished it. It is time we moved into the 21st century, or even into the 20th century might be an idea. And it's time we had a democratic constitution from top to bottom so that no longer do we have to argue for or against outrageous attacks on our liberties. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Graham.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with Graham from Republic. And first of all, can I get your thoughts about what happened on the coronation and also why these organisations are coming together today to say that the Public Order Bill is not my bill?
Yeah, I mean, the coronation was an absolute disgrace. It was a pretty dark day in terms of the right to protest. Obviously, I was pretty shocked at what happened to us. And then when I finally got out later that night, finding out how many other people also got arrested, none of whom, as far as I'm aware, have come anywhere close to breaking the law. And yeah, it's a pretty shocking series of tales of people just being lifted for no reason other than wanting to protest, and some of them not even anywhere near it. And I think fairly quickly afterwards, I think we knew that the most important thing is we get back out there and protest. And there are so many people affected by this, and so many people that do want to protest and need to protest, that we wanted to make sure that we brought together as many people as we could. And it wasn't us doing all this, a whole bunch of people came together just instinctively, I think, wanting to show solidarity with everybody. And I think that's worked really well today.
Thank you very much. And amongst the arrestees was Dr. Cush from Just Up All, among other members and supporters of Just Up All, simply for wearing a T-shirt.
Yep.
And in your case, you were arrested simply for having signs in the back of your van,
yep,
etc. What is it about these draconian laws that is such a threat to democracy?
Well, I think we do get arrested for looking like we might want to protest, which is an unacceptable infringement. And I also think, just in terms of Cush and his guys that turned up at the committee as well, why didn't the committee ask them to give evidence? I just think I do think that we've been lucky in the sense that some people think we're the respectful face of the arrestees, but all of these people were arrested for not doing anything wrong, and all of them should have their voices heard.
Thank you very much, Graham. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about the police. Because we've been talking about police and the need to abolish them. It's not a joke. If you think about the police force, they serve very small.
So as you could see, there are so many organisations dead set against this legislation, against the Public Order Bill, and rightly so. Just a couple of weeks before the Not My Bill demonstration, lots of people were arrested at the King's coronation simply for having placards and for wearing T-shirts and all kinds of nefarious, spurious reasons, which really is an infringement on our right to protest. So after we'd heard speeches in Parliament Square, everybody gathered together to go for a march at Whitehall towards Downing Street, and that led to a historic event for the Gypsy Travelers League, which you're about to see. and then at the end we heard from a few other people outside Downing Street, including our friend Marcus, who has appeared in a few episodes of the podcast before, and he did a speech live from outside of Downing Street, live from prison. So we're going to see a bit of the march now and hear from the speeches outside Downing Street. Hope you enjoy.
Get behind us! Come on!
Come on, boys!
Come on!
That's it!
No justice, no peace, no racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace!
No racist police!
No justice, no peace!
No racist police!
No justice!
Fuck the Tories, fuck the left!
Waiting a moment.
Hopefully that's everything laid to rest now. When we put that coffin down, hopefully that will be the last time that our people would have to suffer discrimination by any race of people. At every service, there's an ending to it, and it's called a burial. And I hope that this is the burial of racism for the Gypsy and Travelling community, once and for all. This is not a joke, this is very real. There's a very historic moment. My colleague, John Riley, is going through the gates of 10 Downing Street. The first time a traveller... Come on, Dad! The first time a traveller has ever done anything like this for a race of people, to carry our message forward. Please, everybody in the travelling community and the wider community, get behind us for fuck's sake, lads. Enough is enough. Get off your arses. Shine up and show up. There's no point in screaming out over the fair play to this one, fair play to that one. It's no good. Get off your arses and get behind us. Well done, Tony. Go on, lads. We need to make a change once and for all.
Every single one of us together need to stand up and put a stop to this. Any discrimination or racism, no matter who it's against, should be cut out in 2023.
I agree,
it's
Tony.
not acceptable for no one.
Well done. Well done, boys. This is a very historic moment.
Good job!
Well done, boys. Come on, Richie. Hey, boys. Richie.
Hey,
Are you listening?
Rishi!
Come on, Richie. They want ID.
Keep back the sun down here, mate. Don't really fucking
Look, we can't even get into Downing Street. This is what I'm telling you. We can't even get some to point and drink.
at him, look at him. Oh, let me get in there quick. I just want to do a quick interview. I want my interview.
Careful with this coffin, boys.
Yeah. Hey, I want an interview, come. I want an interview, man.
Just wanted to say, like, when we first started resisting HS2, like, a lot of people came out against it, but you know who was always there? The travellers were always there, because we understood that it was one fight, that land rights is something like, is a human right. And we know with HS2 they've put the biggest injunction in the country in history on the HS2 line, so now no one can go onto any of that land. And we stood and we fought till the very, very end, and travellers were in solidarity with all of us, and we were in solidarity with them. And we need to keep resisting anti-trespass laws, because infringements on trespass rights are infringements on everyone's rights. Who fucking owns this land? All of us. It's not theirs. Don't let the elite tell you that it's theirs. It's ours, and we have the right to live on it. Thank you.
Diverse bits of the giant, complicated Extinction Rebellion family who in various ways contributed to this day. XR UK, XR London Region, XR local groups, Muswell Hill, Hackney, Haringey, Islington, Lambeth, many more. I can't cover them all. Rhythms of Resistance, the Sound and Power Crew, Stewards, Protest Liaison. Oh, we haven't done that today. All of that is a wonderful learning experience for us. We're learning lessons in solidarity and comradeship and allyship. I hope this is the foundation of bigger and better and greater things to come. Thank you all today.
Thank you. Now, you're all familiar with the story of how Marcus and Morgan climbed the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge at Deptford and brought everybody's attention to the fact that action is not being taken to stop fossil fuels from ruining the future of our children and grandchildren and everybody in the global south who have not contributed to nor benefited from the fossil fuel industry and industrialization. Until we can overthrow the capitalist system, it is protest that enables us to bring this to the attention of everybody who needs to unite. Now, we have Morgan online.
But first I will share some things I've learned in prison. I've been reading the establishment's philosophy, the ideas of the social contract and the rule of law in the writings of John Locke. Why? Because his ideas were built into the foundation of modern British society after the Civil War. The core of these establishment ideas is that we agree to live in society together for our mutual safety and prosperity, for public welfare. And in exchange, we give power to a government to make and enforce the necessary laws, necessary for our mutual welfare. Now, our government is utterly perverting that power to make laws which annihilate public welfare in climate and ecological collapse. They've put wealthy private interests above the public interest. The investor earns, the planet burns. Smashing one pillar of our foundation causes other pillars to crumble. That first pillar was the social contract, the government's only legitimacy. Without it, they can only rule through fear, as King Charles I tried to do, unsuccessfully. The next pillar crumbles in an avalanche of intentionally ambiguous laws, which make anything potentially illegal, even bringing placards to a coronation. The rule of law is replaced by the rule of the police. We fear their arbitrary violence and abductions when the law gives us no certainty. However, this regime has massively overplayed its hand. Compliance will kill us in fire and ecological collapse. I decided that prison frightened me far less, and I don't regret that decision. What I have suffered is pain compared to what our ancestors endured to win all the rights and freedoms which are now being taken away from us. The suffragettes endured far worse in cruel Victorian prisons. My distant ancestor Dolly Dalrymple, an indigenous woman of Tasmania, endured far worse to survive the British genocide of her people. For 5 years I lived near the Bryan and May factory in Bow, so I know about the matchstick women who endured far worse to form their pioneering union and demand a better life. Generations of our ancestors, ordinary people, formed unions and literally stood arm in arm to survive the blows of the military and the police. We are no different to all those ancestors. We have inherited their true grit and determination, though we may need to dig a little below our surface to find it now. I've watched all the recent strikes on TV in my cell and I've been inspired. I see the parallels between our movements. I have taken non-violent direct action to halt the collapse of our climate and ecology. Nurses and doctors' unions have taken a different form of direct action to halt the collapse of our National Health Service. I see that unions, like climate activists, make difficult decisions to go ahead with these days of action knowing that they cause some people trouble. Because we know that every day people are and dying due to collapse. Those of the most vulnerable people on earth who've done the least to cause the crisis. So when I hear the press and government ministers demonizing unions and moving to outlaw them, I know this comes from the same source as the demonizing rhetoric which I endure. This is an attempt to frighten us from using our full power. They are wary of something they read at Oxbridge. 340 years ago, John Locke described the power that we are awakening now in this rally. The community perpetually retains a supreme power of saving themselves from the attempts and designs of anybody, even of their lawmakers, whenever they shall be so foolish or so wicked as to carry on designs against the liberties and lives of the subjects. Never in history have we seen designs so foolish and so wicked as we see now. Our rulers worship some symbols on a bank computer. The growth of those numbers is prioritized over the growth of life of our children. This dangerous radical cult is reaching its endgame. Their Kool-Aid is the insane pursuit of infinite economic growth on a finite planet. What do you do when a reckless gambler overplays their hand? We urgently need to call this government's bluff. They can write all the laws they want, but ordinary people on juries decide whether to enforce those laws. That is the ancient wisdom of British culture, and it's something to be proud of. This is my call to action, to those who can take these risks. Assemble where you need to assemble. Stand up and speak what needs to be heard. Lay this dilemma on the conscience of ordinary people on juries, people like you and I. This is dangerous. You can have no certainty in their decision. What I can promise you is that you will be liberated from the psychological torture of witnessing as a bystander the greatest crime against humanity and nature. I have felt this liberation, and it is a far, far deeper peace than I have ever known.
I want to pick up Morgan. Was that Morgan or Marcus? I want to pick up Morgan, and I'll tell you something about Morgan and Marcus, who were both arrested and who have both been imprisoned. When our communities in Edmonton needed support, Marcus and Morgan were there. When we were campaigning against the monstrous incinerator that is poisoning black people in our communities, Marcus and Morgan were there. And every time we have called on them for solidarity, they have been there. They built their contraption outside the incinerator and blocked it. And they came and got arrested for our communities. It didn't affect them, it affected us. So, you know what, they will always have my support and they will always have my solidarity. And they are martyrs in this movement because they've gone to prison for something that they believe in. Give them a round of applause.
Yeah, really powerful moments there, I'm sure you'll agree. And it was fantastic to be there, to see everybody standing up against the Public Order Bill and also getting behind our friend Marcus, who spoke live from prison. And as you saw there, the first time in history that a Gypsy Traveller had entered Downing Street and a letter of protest into the Prime Minister, so historic first for the Gypsy Travellers there. After that, we went back to Parliament Square, where I had a bit of a chat with JR to ask him how he felt about handing the letter in, and also how he feels about the public order bill and what that might mean for gypsies and travellers all across the country. So let's see what he had to say.
Okay, so I'm here with JR from the Gypsy Travelers League. You've just walked down Whitehall with the coffin, and you're the first Gypsy Travellers to ever enter Downing Street to deliver a letter to our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Can you tell us how you feel about everybody coming together today, and a little bit about why we're here to say this is not our bill?
To be honest with you, we got a lot of support from the settled community that came. We only had a handful of our own people, which truthfully should be ashamed. Totally should be ashamed, because we're doing this for you, we're doing it for all our people. And if you can't come support it, how are we going to change it? And as for going in to head down the street, it was a big moment. I'm not going to lie to you, a massive moment. I'm the first travelling man to go in there. I'm no better than any other travelling man, far from our gypsy man. But I've set up something nearly 2 years ago to make a difference for our people. I am going to make that difference. I promise you I will make that difference. But I do need our support of our own people, boys. We're a young generation, man. We're a breed that we're meant to be not bothered about nobody, or afraid of no one. But we're afraid to show our face and support our own people. That's what the downfall of our community is. Everyone wants this to be done. I've went on and done the dirty work. I've funded every last penny into this for myself to make this difference. I never asked a man for nothing. I don't need nothing off no one. But all we do need to be straightforward with every last gypsy traveller, even the outside community. Just support us. We're only trying to make a difference. I'm respecting every last person need to come here today to support us and march with us. Got underneath that coffin and supported us. What more am I meant to say to you people? Really, what am I meant to say, man? I'm 31 years of age. I'm only trying to make this in for the whole lot of us. Between sports, the mental health and suicide awareness that we're dealing with every single day. We need to let's start talking. I've got a logo out there which is going to go far and wide this year. We want it in every car, we want it in every sticker, and we want it all over the place. In your houses, on your fridges, everywhere that let's start talking. Because that's where our downfall is. Travelling men think that pride means too much to go on and do harm to yourself.
And you think it's important for people, organisations, to put the differences aside and just concentrate on what unites us, which is how the public order bill tries to affect us all?
Yes, I totally agree. Well, you guys spoke about the protests and stuff like that. This is our first protest. I'm not really, don't know if we're going to do more protests or not, but what I do want to know is our people need to stand together, to be honest, because it's these children here, God bless them. Sorry, we'll edit you anyway, don't worry, I'll get it out. It's these young kids that are suffering for what's happening. We are going to make a total difference, we are going to be different, but mainly people just get behind us, man. Just really get behind us.
JR, thank you so much, have a great day, pal.
That was JR from Gypsy Travelers League on what was a very historic day for them, and as you saw in the clip just there, when people returned back to Parliament Square, there was a large line of people down the side of the fence of Parliament with paper chains as lock-on devices, and that was a sort of tongue-in-cheek gesture against the events that had taken place at the coronation, where several people had been arrested, and some of them for having so-called lock-on devices that were merely straps that you used to secure a load in a van, for example. That happened to Graham from Republic, who we saw earlier in this episode. We were also singing songs outside Parliament, and I was really pleased to lead around one of Marcus Decker's songs on the megaphone there, which you can actually be arrested for these days just for having a megaphone outside Parliament. That's bloody ridiculous. Following that, there were many people's assemblies at Parliament Square itself. Down on the grass, people were sharing ideas about what we can do to stand up against the public order bill, which was really wonderful to see so many organisations having these great conversations together and coming up with the solutions to these kind of drastic actions that are being taken by the government in order to stem legitimate legal protests. A small contingent went up Embankment and towards New Scotland Yard to carry out a small demonstration outside of New Scotland Yard and bring the day to a close on what was really a fantastic day of seeing so many organisations coming together and working against the Public Order Bill, which is something we've really got to do. So if you can get involved at any level, whatever organisation you'd choose to sign up with or get involved with, please do so, whether that's on a national level or at a local level. Put pressure on your MPs, write to your MPs and encourage them, you know, to stand up against this kind of legislation in the future, however much that may or may not do. You know, these are our democratic rights and these are the channels that we have to be able to have our voices heard, and so many people feel unrepresented at the moment, but that's something that we've really got to stand up against, and don't ever forget that or let that pass you by without taking action. So I'll just conclude by saying thanks for watching, and if you'd like to like and subscribe, we'd really appreciate that at the channel. We've also got a Patreon account, I'll put the link in the description if you'd like to offer us some support. We're a new channel, just looking for some help at the moment. So thanks for staying with us, and we'd like to see you on the next episode. See you later.